My dear friends, there comes a moment in the life of every individual when the universe itself seems to pause, when the endless chatter of the world falls into a profound and holy silence. It is in that silence that a revelation of such staggering power dawns, that it shatters every chain of limitation you have ever worn. It is the moment you cease to be a seeker and become the sought. The moment you finally realize the awesome, living truth of these two words, I am. Until now, you have lived as if you were a separate entity, a visitor in a universe that is vast and often indifferent. You have prayed to a God afar off, sought a power outside yourself, and pleaded for a presence that seemed to come and go. You have identified with the body, with the circumstances of your life, with the thoughts that parade through your mind. You have believed yourself to be the servant of conditions, the victim of fate, the product of a past. But I am here to tell you that all of that is the great dream, the grand illusion. There is a truth that has been waiting for your recognition since the very beginning. It is not something you must create, or earn, or become worthy of. It is the very substance of your being. It is the I am. I am is not your name. It is not your personality. It is the very life of God, individualized as your consciousness. It is the very substance of your being. When you say, I am sick, you are giving that divine substance the form of sickness. When you say, I am poor, you are cloaking the infinite source in the rags of lack. You are the artist, and your I am is the clay. What form will you give it this day? To realize I am is to understand that you do not have a life. You are life itself. You do not have a spirit. You are spirit itself. The power that holds the stars in their courses is the very same power that beats your heart. The intelligence that designs a galaxy is the intelligence that forms your next thought. There is no separation. There is only the one, and you are that one in individual expression. This is not a philosophy to be debated. It is a truth to be lived. It is a wellspring of power to be tapped. From this moment forward, your entire spiritual practice shifts. It is no longer about reaching up, but about reaching within. It is no longer about acquiring a presence, but about acknowledging the presence that you already are. So, I invite you now to a sacred act of confirmation. If these words have found a home within you, if they have stirred a remembrance of your true identity, then let that inner confirmation be made visible. Let it be a signal to your own soul and to this entire spiritual community. Take the sacred step of uniting with this divine activity by subscribing to this channel, that this inner flame may be continually fed and nurtured. And as a final, powerful testament to your realization, I ask you to inscribe the number 777 degrees in the comments below. Do not see this as a mere number, but as your sacred signature, a symbol that you have recognized the perfect, complete, and divine nature of your own I am being. For in that recognition, the journey ends and the glorious, eternal fulfillment begins. For you see, the entire human experience, in its unawakened state, is built upon a single, foundational error, a whisper in the consciousness that has grown into a deafening roar, a shadow that has convinced us it is the only reality. This is the great illusion of separation. It is the pervasive, unquestioned belief that you are here and God is there, that you are a fragile, solitary creature navigating a vast and often hostile universe, pleading with a distant deity for scraps of mercy, for glimpses of grace, for a momentary reprieve from the struggles of life. This sense of duality, of a chasm between you and the source of all life, is the root of every fear, every anxiety, every feeling of lack and limitation that has ever visited your experience. Consider the architecture of your daily prayers. Do you not, so often, approach prayer as a form of long-distance communication? You send your thoughts and desires out into the ether, hoping they will reach a listening ear in a far-off heaven. You formulate your requests. You articulate your needs, all from the standpoint of one who is outside the kingdom, begging for entrance from a guard at the gate. This very posture, this deeply ingrained feeling of being an outsider, reinforces the illusion with every heartfelt plea. It solidifies the belief that you are a subject and God is a king, that you are a patient and God is the doctor. This relationship, built on distance, can never satisfy the soul, for the soul instinctively knows its own divine origin and will forever be restless until it remembers its true, unbreakable unity. Look at the way you face the challenges of your daily life. A financial difficulty arises. The immediate, automatic reaction of the human mind is to see itself as a small boat tossed on a giant, unpredictable ocean. You feel at the mercy of economic tides, of market forces, of circumstances entirely beyond your control. A health concern emerges. The body is immediately perceived as a separate, mechanical object that has broken down, and you, a helpless occupant, must now seek an external remedy, a doctor, a medicine, a therapy, to fix this machine you inhabit. A relationship fractures, and you feel the piercing sting of isolation, of being misunderstood, of being fundamentally alone in your experience. In every one of these scenarios, the underlying, unchallenged assumption is the same: I am a separate entity, and the power to resolve this situation exists out there. The power is in the money, in the medicine, in the approval of another person. This is the hypnotic trance of the world. It is a collective dream where we have all agreed to give away our power, to project the authority of our own being onto external forms, and then wonder why we feel so vulnerable, so powerless, so perpetually at the effect of a world we never made. This illusion is the veil that hangs between you and the face of God. It is the reason the world appears solid, demanding, and often frightening. It is the reason you have moments of feeling like a stranger in a strange land, longing for a home you cannot quite locate. You are searching for your identity in the reflection of the pond, never realizing you are the one looking down from the bank. You are the listener straining to hear a beautiful melody, unaware that you are the source of the music itself. The world's entire education system, its economic structures, its very social fabric, are all built upon and designed to reinforce this primary error. You are taught from childhood to compete, to acquire, to defend, to build a personal identity based on your achievements, your possessions, and the opinions of others. This entire complex structure is a magnificent, intricate castle built on the sands of a mirage. It has no ultimate reality, yet we live within its walls as if they were made of the strongest granite. We polish the furniture, we decorate the rooms, we fight battles over its corridors, all the while unaware that the foundation is not there. This feeling of separation is the true fall of man. It was not a fall from a physical garden, but a fall in consciousness. A fall into the belief that we could be something other than the one life expressing itself. And from this fall sprang all the consequences, the toil, the struggle, the sense of good and evil, the birth and the death. It is the dream from which the Christ, the I am in you, is here to awaken you. Think of a time you were completely absorbed in a state of wonder, gazing at a breathtaking sunset, listening to a piece of music that moved you to tears, holding a newborn child. In those fleeting, sacred moments, what happened? The chattering. Separate you disappeared, didn't it? The worries, the plans, the sense of a small self navigating a big world, all of it vanished. There was only the sunset. There was only the music. There was only the miracle of life. In those instants, the illusion of separation melted away, and what remained was a pure, unmediated experience of being. You were not separate from the beauty. You were one with it. You were not an observer of the miracle. You were the miracle itself. This is not a sentimental feeling. It is a glimpse of the truth. It is the I am consciousness shining through the cracks in the wall of your personal sense of self. The pain you feel in your life, the deep existential ache, is never truly about the lack of money or the presence of sickness. It is always, at its core, the pain of this perceived separation. It is the divine homesickness of a consciousness that has forgotten it is never and can never be apart from God. The loneliness, the fear, the insecurity, these are not your true conditions. They are the shadows cast by the illusion. They are the symptoms of a disease that does not truly exist, yet feels utterly real to the one who believes the dream. Your entire spiritual journey, therefore, is not a journey to a distant land, but a journey from the belief in separation to the recognition of oneness. It is the most important pilgrimage you will ever undertake, and it requires no physical movement. It requires only a profound shift in attention, a turning of the light of awareness inward to discover what has always been present, waiting silently behind the noise of the world. This realization shatters the very core of your previous understanding, for it reveals that the I you have always taken yourself to be is a phantom, a temporary tenant in the house of being. You have believed yourself to be the accumulation of your history, your name, your profession, your relationships, your triumphs, and your failures. You have worn this personality like a suit of clothes, so familiar and so tight that you have mistaken it for your own skin. But this personal sense of self, with all its desires and fears, its pride and its shame, is not the I am. It is merely a cloud passing through the vast, boundless sky of your true identity. The I am is the sky itself, unchanging, uncontaminated, and ever present. It is the canvas upon which the portrait of your personal life is temporarily painted. To grasp this is to initiate the most profound revolution in consciousness you will ever know. Begin by observing the simple, yet profound, act of speaking about yourself. Notice how you say, I am tired, or I am worried, or I am successful. In every such statement, you are clothing the infinite, formless I am in a finite, temporary garment. You are taking the very name of God, the creative power of the universe, and using it to define a limitation, to give substance to a passing mood or a temporary condition. You are, in that moment, worshiping a false idol, and that idol is the image of a limited self. The thrill of this discovery is that you are not the victim of these conditions. You are the one who, through ignorance, has been bestowing upon them the very power they seem to hold over you. Consider a practical moment from your day. You are driving your car, and another driver cuts you off. The immediate, automatic reaction of the personal self is a flare of anger. The thought arises, I am angry. How dare they do that to me? This I, that claims the anger feels entirely real, entirely justified. But if you can, even for a second, pause and turn your attention inward, you can begin to discern a critical separation. You can observe the anger. You can feel the heat in your face, the tightening in your chest, the rush of thoughts. Who is observing this? The anger cannot observe itself. The personal, reactive I is completely identified with the anger. It is the anger. The one who can step back and witness the anger without being completely consumed by it is something else entirely. That is the I am. It is the silent, aware presence that is the context for all your experiences, but is never itself changed by any of them. This I am is your true identity. It is the consciousness that was present when you were a child that is with you now, and that will be present when the body has long since returned to dust. It does not get sick, though the body may manifest disease. It does not know lack, though your bank account may appear empty. It does not suffer loss, though relationships may change form. The personal self is a story you have been telling yourself, a character you have been playing with such conviction that you forgot you are the actor, not the role. The I am is the actor, the timeless, ageless being who can play the part of a king or a pauper, a healthy person or a sick one, without ever losing its fundamental nature. This is why all true spiritual teaching points you inward, toward silence, toward the cessation of the mind's endless chatter. The personal self is a noisy tenant, constantly decorating its rooms with opinions, judgments, and a relentless narrative about itself and the world. It is afraid of silence because in the silence, its constructed identity begins to dissolve. The I am, in stark contrast, is silence itself. It is the peace that passes all understanding, not because it has conquered turmoil, But because turmoil cannot exist in its realm, it is the love that knows no opposite, not because it rejects hatred, but because it is the very substance from which all genuine affection flows, untouched by the conditions of the personal self. When you begin to live from this recognition, your entire relationship with life transforms. You no longer pray to a God in the sky, begging for intervention. Instead, you turn within to the I Am, and you abide there in the quiet confidence of its omnipotence. You do not ask for health, you acknowledge, I Am is the only life, perfect and whole, and this truth is manifest now in this body. You do not plead for supply, you acknowledge, I Am is the infinite source of all that is, and my world is the visible expression of its abundant nature. This is not positive thinking. This is the conscious activity of the I Am, recognizing itself and claiming its own. It is the Son knowing himself to be one with the Father, and thus all that the Father has is his. The world will continue to present its evidence to the contrary. The body may show symptoms. The bank statement may show a low balance. A relationship may bring heartache. The personal self will scream in protest, pointing to this proof of limitation. But you, having glimpsed the truth, can now smile at this evidence. You can understand it as the fading echo of an old belief, the shadow of a departed thought. You can look at it without fear, without reaction, and in that calm, non-resistant awareness, you allow the I Am to reinterpret the situation, to dissolve the appearance and reveal the harmony that is its eternal nature. You are not a human being trying to have a spiritual experience. You are the I Am, the spiritual being, having a temporary human experience. And in that simple, staggering reversal of identity, the universe itself rearranges itself to conform to your true face. And so we come to the great activity, the sacred responsibility that flows naturally from this awakening to your true identity as I Am. For if you are indeed the center of all being, the very substance of consciousness itself, then your world is not something that happens to you, but something that flows from you. Your consciousness is not a passive mirror reflecting a fixed and external reality. It is the active, living loom upon which the tapestry of your experience is woven in every moment. Every thought, every deeply held belief, every persistent feeling is a thread you are adding to the pattern, coloring the world you perceive and interact with. This is not a philosophical concept. It is the most practical and potent truth you will ever encounter. Consider the simple, yet profound, mechanism of your own perception. You walk into a room and you see a chair. The personal sense of self believes the chair is an independent object existing entirely on its own. But what you are actually experiencing is not the chair in itself, but your consciousness of the chair, the form, the color, the very concept of chair-ness are all arising within your awareness. Your consciousness is the field in which the chair appears. Now, extend this understanding to every facet of your life. The financial situation you find yourself in is not a cold, hard fact existing in a vacuum. It is the visible form of your consciousness concerning supply and abundance. The state of your body is not a separate biological machine. It is the intimate and precise embodiment of your consciousness of life and health. Your relationships are the living mirrors, reflecting back to you the quality of your own consciousness concerning love, connection, and judgment. This is the thrilling and perhaps daunting revelation. You are never the victim of your world. You are its author, writing its story with the invisible ink of your inner state. When you say, from the level of deep feeling and belief, I am stuck in this situation, your consciousness obediently takes the form of confinement and limitation, and your world will faithfully present you with obstacles, delays, and immovable objects. When you declare, I am unlucky in love, your consciousness weaves a pattern of rejection and loneliness, and you will find yourself attracting experiences that validate this deeply held conviction. The world, in its seeming solidity, is merely the outpicturing, the final expression of what has already been established in the unseen realm of your own mind. Watch this principle at work in the smallest moments of your day. You wake up, and before you are even fully awake, a thought arises. This is going to be a difficult day. In that instant, you have set a tone. You have cast a filter over your consciousness. You will then move through your hours, and your mind, now primed for difficulty, will selectively notice every minor inconvenience, every slight delay, every challenging interaction. It will gather this evidence and present it to you as proof that your initial thought was correct. You will say, see, I knew it would be a terrible day. Never realizing that you were not a prophet predicting the future, but a creator orchestrating it through the quality of your awareness from the very first waking moment. The power lies in the recognition that you are not at the mercy of these automatic thoughts. You are the consciousness in which they appear. And because you are that, you have the sovereign authority to choose which thoughts you will entertain and give substance to, and which you will let pass by like clouds. This is the true spiritual practice. It is not about reciting affirmations you do not believe, which is merely the personal self trying to manipulate a situation. It is about going deeper to the level of I am and consciously reshaping the substance of your being. It is the difference between saying, I want to be rich, from a feeling of lack, and silently abiding in the conscious knowing, I am abundance. The first is a prayer born of separation. The second is a declaration of identity that must, by spiritual law, form a world of abundance around itself. Your greatest challenges, then, are not your enemies. They are your most accurate teachers, showing you with perfect clarity the contents of your own consciousness that you may have been unaware of. A recurring conflict with a colleague is not an indictment of their character, but an invitation to look within at your own consciousness of conflict, authority, or perhaps your own unexpressed truth. A persistent health issue is not a random punishment, but a profound signal to examine your consciousness of life itself. Are you holding deep, seated beliefs about weakness, vulnerability, or perhaps carrying burdens that are not yours to carry. The outer condition is a perfect symbol of the inner state. To change the outer, you must be willing to change the inner first. You must be brave enough to withdraw the power you have given to the appearance and reinvest it in the truth of I am. You must consent to let the old forms die, to allow the old patterns of thought to dissolve, so that the new consciousness, abiding in its own harmony and perfection, can give birth to a new world. This is the alchemy of spirit, the sacred work of a lifetime. This understanding brings us to the very precipice of a monumental shift, the end of seeking as you have known it. The entire spiritual journey, up to this point, may have felt like a relentless pilgrimage toward a distant horizon, a desperate grasping for a God who remains always just out of reach. You have read the books, attended the lectures, practiced the meditations, all in the hope of one day attaining an experience, of capturing a feeling of peace or a moment of enlightenment that would finally satisfy the soul's deep hunger. But I tell you that hunger cannot be satisfied by any object, any experience, or any state that you acquire. For you are not a vessel waiting to be filled. You are the ocean itself, pretending to be a single, thirsty wave. The shift, then, is from seeking God to consciously being the God, experience. This is the great pivot, the turning point that separates a life of spiritual striving from a life of spiritual fulfillment. It is the moment you stop looking for light and realize you are the source of the light. All seeking implies a sense of lack, a belief that what you are looking for is not already present. But how can you lack your own self? How can you be separate from the very life that you are? The frantic search for God, out there, is the primary activity that perpetuates the feeling of separation. It is like a man standing in a vast library, blindfolded, frantically searching for a book that contains the secret of sight, all the while refusing to simply remove the blindfold. The seeking itself becomes the obstacle. Observe this in your own practice. You sit to meditate with the goal of achieving peace. Your mind is active, and you judge it as a failure. You strive to quiet the thoughts, to force a state of stillness, and in this very striving, you are reinforcing the sense of a separate self who must do something to get something. This is the personal self trying to become spiritual, but the I am is already peace. It does not need to achieve what it inherently is. The practice, then, transforms from one of acquisition to one of acknowledgement. You do not meditate to find peace. You meditate to acknowledge that you are the peace that already exists beneath the surface turmoil of the mind. You are not praying to receive love. You are turning within to acknowledge that you are the love that has no opposite. Let this illuminate a moment of deep distress in your life. A piece of devastating news arrives. The personal self is shattered, thrown into a storm of grief and fear. The automatic reaction is to seek solace, to call a friend, to seek a distraction, to pray desperately for the situation to change. This is the old way, the way of the seeker. But what happens if, In the midst of that storm, you remember this pivot. What if, instead of reaching outward, you dare to turn inward, not to ask for anything, but simply to abide? You feel the crushing weight of the emotion, but you do not identify as the crushed one. You silently acknowledge, I am is here. I am is the presence and the power in this very room, in this very experience. You are not denying the human pain. You are placing it within a context so vast that it cannot be overwhelmed. You are not seeking the God experience. You are standing as the God experience, which is the only consciousness capable of transforming the pain without being destroyed by it. This is the secret that has been hidden in plain sight. The kingdom of heaven is not a location you enter after death. It is a dimension of consciousness you inhabit now. It is the I am consciousness. When you are worried about a future event, you are seeking for security in that future. But the shift occurs when you acknowledge, I am is the only security, and it is my present reality. The future event then unfolds within that consciousness of security, and its nature is fundamentally altered. When you feel lonely, you are seeking for connection from others. But the transformation happens when you acknowledge, I am is infinite relationship, the very substance of connection itself. Your outer relationships then begin to reflect this inner wholeness. Your entire life becomes this continuous, gentle adjustment of attention. It is not a strenuous effort, but a subtle remembering. You are retraining your focus from the objects in the room to the space that holds them. You are shifting your identity from the notes of the music to the silence that gives them meaning. The thrill is that nothing in your outer world needs to change for this shift to occur. In the midst of chaos, you can acknowledge the I am as the underlying order. In the midst of lack, you can acknowledge the I am as infinite supply. You are not trying to change the chaos into order. You are realizing that order is the fundamental truth, and the chaos is a temporary appearance on its surface. This is the ultimate empowerment. It means you are never again at the effect of any condition, for you carry the answer within you as your own being. The search is over. The seeker has dissolved into the sought. Now, the only work is to live from this truth, to let every word, every action, every thought be an expression of this realized oneness, to allow the God that you are to live your life effortlessly and without apology. The glorious implication of this is that you are now called to a new residence, a new center of gravity for your entire being. You are invited to step out of the small, confining cottage of your personal self and take up permanent residence in the boundless inner kingdom of I am. This kingdom is not a physical place you can locate on a map. It is a dimension of consciousness, a state of awareness from which you perceive, interpret, and interact with the entire universe. It is the command center of your life, the throne from which the I am consciousness governs its world. To live from this inner kingdom is to no longer be a tourist, buffeted by the weather of external events, but to be the monarch, the sovereign presence from which all law and order for your experience emanates. This is the practical fulfillment of all spiritual revelation. It means that your primary work is no longer focused on manipulating the outer world, but on maintaining your abode in this inner stillness.